Python programming tutorial. Today we'll be covering the following topics: introduction to function, creating and calling a function, arguments and parameters, and the last one, correct number of arguments. So let's begin and understand what a function is and how do we create and call it. A function can be defined as a block of code that runs when it is called. You can pass data in functions and the data in functions is known as parameters. A function can return data as well. So we are creating a small sub program which has its own block of code. Then you can also pass data in that function. The data that you're passing is known as parameters, or it can be also referred to as arguments. And the function will also return the data. So when you are passing something into the function, it will also return a value to it. So now let's begin and create a function. As you can see on the screen, we are using def keyword to define a function. So the syntax is def, then you give a function name to create a function. And then under that you write statements. Do not forget using the colon after it, and when you start writing statements, you need to press tab. So indentation is must. Then when you're calling the function, you will give coming out of this entire function, then you give the function name again without the colons, and then that is how you are calling it. So let's create a function now. So this is the function that I've created. Under that I will write welcome to the function, and then coming out of the function, I call my function by writing new function and then just the parenthesis and no colon this time. And let's press enter and we get whatever we asked it to print, welcome to the function. So this is how you are going to define the function and then call it. Now let's create a function with arguments or with parameters. But before that, let's understand what is the difference between the two. Now let's understand the difference between arguments and parameters. Technically, there is no such difference between arguments and parameters. Basically, these two are the information that is passed into a function. It can be known as argument or can be known as a parameter. Arguments are written after the function name inside the parenthesis, or any number of arguments can be passed into a function. So if I am supposed to pass an argument, I will write here def and then write here my class, and inside this I write my argument. Suppose I write here name. So this is my argument. Like here I have my example. Now parameter and argument may be used for the same purpose, but when we talk about functions, a parameter is a variable listed inside the parenthesis in the function definition, whereas an argument is the value that is sent by us to the function when it is called. So let's see the example. And I'm giving here name as my parameter for my class, and in this I write print plus and this is how I will add my parameter that I've given in my print statement. So this is, I've created my function. Now let's call it. Now for calling, I write here my class again, and here inside this now I write my arguments. So my arguments will again be in double quotations. For name, I can write here name John, and let's see what I get here. Mr. Miss John. I can also give here another value to it, and I can write here this, and I get Mr. and Miss or Miss J. So this is how you will create and call a function. This is my parameter, whereas the values that we are adding to our function whilst we are calling it, that is our arguments. Now let's move on to creating multiple parameters and passing multiple arguments to it. Now, knowing the correct number of arguments, a function must contain the correct number of arguments. That is, if a function expects 2 arguments, then the function with 2 arguments must be called. So what does this mean? If we are defining my class, I am writing here my 2 parameters, name and class, in my class function. So if I'm writing 2 parameters here, so when I start calling my function, I should give the arguments 2 arguments with it. So how will I do that? So let's create this function, and then I write here print name, and then whatever I want to write, always concatenate name belongs to class, and then also give our class here. So this is what I want to print in my function. So let's come out of the function and call our function my class, and I give here name as Jia and my class as .11. So let's see what I get as an answer. So Jia belongs to class 11. So this is what I get. So if suppose I've already created this, instead of giving passing 2 arguments, I just pass here 1 argument. Let's see what I get. We get an error which says my class missing 1 required positional argument class. So I have not mentioned whatever the value is to be substituted in the class parameter. Hence this gives me that I've missed 1 positional argument, that is for class. So this is how you need to be sure that whatever number of parameters that you're writing while you define your class, it should be the same when you are also calling your class with the same number of arguments in it. So this is it for today's class. I hope you've understood. Thank you for watching.